Call the meeting to order. So this meeting of the Committee of the Whole, Community Development, is now called to order. I just want to make a note that Councillor Weaver would normally be chairing tonight, but unfortunately, Councillor Weaver had a slip and fall during the storm, and so he's laid up tonight. So that means I take over. So I'd ask you rise as you are able to for the reading of the invocation. As we come together today, we recognize the great responsibilities laid upon us. Our council will always strive to understand the needs of the people we serve and to use power wisely and well. Our purpose is to establish and maintain a city of prosperity and righteousness where freedom prevails and where justice rules. Let us also not forget those who served our community and who are no longer with us so that we can continue to do the work that we must in their memory. Please be seated. Madam Clerk, you please call the roll.
Councillor Vanderstelt.
Present.
Councillor Sluss.
Present.
Councillor Martin.
Here.
Councillor Antosky.
Here.
Councillor Wall.
Present.
Councillor Van Tilburg.
Present.
Councillor Carpenter.
Here.
Councillor McCreary.
I'm here.
Councillor Utley.
Here.
Mayor Davis.
Present. So, members, is there anyone who wishes to make a declaration of a pecuniary interest for any item that's on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we don't have any statutory public hearings on tonight's agenda, nor do we have any delegations for items appearing in the Committee of the Whole Community Development agenda. Can I please get a mover and seconder on all items for consideration and consent items? So moved by Councillor Martin, seconded by Councillor Sluss. Does anybody want anything separated? Pardon? No? Nothing to be separated. Okay. All right. So, any discussion? Seeing none? Call the vote. All right. We're going to set a record. Better call Guinness. Councillor Van Tilburg, Councillor Carpenter. Yeah, he's working on it. Yeah.
All items for consideration and consent being item 6.1.1 City Hall Public Art Project, 6.1.2 Part Lot Control Relief Application PLC 0319, Part Lot item 6.1.3 Part Lot Control Relief Application PLC 0419, 614 Proposed Changes to Provincial Policy Statement, 615 Update on the Implementation of the new demolition control process and proposed changes to the demolition control to address issues with implementation, 616 Brantford Heritage Committee Priorities for 2020. Consent items minutes were approved unanimously on a recorded vote. Those in favor, Mayor Davis, Councillor Vanderstelt, Councillor Utley, Councillor Sluss, Councillor McCreary, Councillor Martin, Councillor Carpenter, Councillor Antosky, Councillor Van Tilburg, and Councillor Wall.
Thank you. We'll now move to item 7. I believe, Councillor McCreary, you have the first resolution. 7.1, the review of the city's development review processes.
Well, Mayor, thank you very much. I'm the mover, Councillor Utley is the seconder, and I'll read the resolution. Whereas the Corporation of the City of Brantford is committed to a strategic plan, and whereas the strategic plan includes goals and objectives that support a strong local economy and a fiscally sustainable local government, and whereas one of these strategic plan goals and objectives is to perform a value for money audit, and whereas residential, commercial, industrial development are major contributors to a strong local economy and the financial stability of the Corporation of the City of Brantford, and whereas City Council has established the Building Construction Process Review Task Force to review the city's development processes and make recommendations to improve said processes, and whereas the task force has undertaken a consultation process with the public and development industry that has raised issues with and made suggestions to improve said processes. And whereas, based upon this consultation, the task force concludes that the city would benefit from a review of its development processes, and whereas such a review undertaken by a Six Sigma lean consultant and led by the Building Construction Process Review Task Force would provide an opportunity to streamline and develop innovative approaches to the review of all development proposals in the city. Now therefore be it resolved that the Corporation of the City of Brantford engage the services of a consultant with the following parameters. Number one, to undertake a review of all phases of the city's development review processes with the goal to make recommendations that result in a more consistent, understandable, and effective approach to development review, including small, medium, and large organizations, operators, and local associations. Item number two, to undertake said review in collaboration with city staff. Number three, to work in conjunction with and report to the Building Construction Process Review Task Force and CAO. And number four, to complete and submit the final report of said review to City Council by March 31, 2020. And lastly, but not leastly, to undertake said review with an upset limit of $100,000 to be funded from Council's priority reserve. And that's the resolution before us, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to move an amendment to, and I hope it's taken as a friendly amendment under item 3, which would read, include comments from the public meeting we had with the stakeholders, the Brantford Home Builders Association, BRIA, Chamber, EDAC. I think that was last year. I think it was last year. As a 3A, 3B, include best practices from other cities, including, I'm sorry, let me start that again. 3B, include best practices from other cities. 3C, include internal relationships between planning, engineering, and economic development. 3D, review security deposit process. To see if there's a better way of offering partial refunds at certain stages of completion on the project. That there are some of the construction that takes place in our city, those security deposits add up to an enormous amount of money. And to hold it right until the very end, I don't think that's good business practice, to be honest. And it kind of holds the developer builders' feet to the fire. But I think we need, if we want to attract businesses and developers to the community, we need to look at ways that make them want to build here, and that we treat them fairly. And that's it. There was four little mini amendments there.
Mover and seconder, is that friendly?
It is friendly. We just didn't have a chance to put it in writing before the meeting this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Councilor Van Tilburg.
I'm very pleased to see this come forward. I certainly know Councillor Utley's been looking at this during the last term, because whenever I see Six Sigma, that's a little bell that rings. I know Councillor Utley's all over that, and I believe we need those kind of processes across the board in a corporation of this size and what we do. So this is a perfect example of where it should be used, and I think we'll see some benefit to it. I guess I was really good up until I heard the one last point. I think it's the 3D, discussing about the holding of the monies until the bitter end, and I think that will come back in a report on what we should and shouldn't do. But I do have a bit of a hesitation about that, because what I think is that John's listening to good developers, but we also have some bad actors out there, and certain things that we need to hold them accountable. So I just want to put a little, hopefully we get back something that will achieve both goals and some reasonableness. But I wouldn't just say across the board, because I would be, I think that could be a good business practice, or certainly might get egg on the face of the city for some of the things that can happen, and anything's possible. But again, Six Sigma processes are very good. They're specialized people in doing it. I would like to see something where we're sending some of our staff, our higher managerial staff, to do some of this so that we won't have to go outside, because you're bringing people into a different style of environment, a public sector environment, and these consultants are going to have to learn that and learn how to apply their Six Sigma knowledge. And I believe what we have is we have staff with all the knowledge of running a city, but they may not have these processes down. And these are long-standing industry standard practices. Everywhere I've seen them implemented, when there's a goal set and they achieve great efficiencies, they make businesses and corporations run smoother, because that's what they're designed to do. It's an efficiency, and that is how you stay ahead of the other guy, is by implementing these things and following through on them. So that's what I have to say.
Any other discussion before we go back to Councillor Utley for a second time? But I'd like to say one thing, and that I'm very pleased that Councillor McCurry brought this forward. And in saying that, I'm not in any way being critical of our current process or staff. I mean, it's really hard sometimes to, when you're caught up in the system itself, to be able to step back and look at what can be done. I know our planning staff, our building staff are extremely busy, and so this, in fact, I think will assist them. And also, when we were at AMO, we heard of some really unique, Councillor Utley and I, we've heard, and also the CAO, Brian Hutchings, we heard some very interesting processes and procedures that other municipalities are using, and something that we should be considering. The second reason why this is a good idea is because of the changes coming to us from Bill 108, where we have to be able to approve applications in a fairly short timeline. And if we don't, an applicant, builder, developer can then apply to the OMB, LPAT, whatever it's going to be, to obtain approval. And so some municipalities have been caught up in that, and you end up with planning being done by the OMB, not us. So anything we can do to speed up the procedure and process, we don't get caught into that new system and end up with planning being done by the OMB, is fantastic. So I can definitely support it. So Councillor Carpenter.
Yes, I've been on this committee. We've been trying to find solutions for some time, so we've got this resolution before us now to move it forward with proper assistance. One of the things that we can think about is not taking the 2-month break in the summertime when all the applications for building come forward in the first place, or structure it so it's not maybe committee of the whole. Maybe it's a committee of 5 members of council from one of each of the wards doing the planning applications, bringing them forward. But we've got to find a way to move applications forward quicker and more efficiently, and certainly we shouldn't be shutting down during the busiest time of the construction season, as we've been doing. Maybe that's an option that we look for, another option to do that in a different format. And maybe it doesn't have to be council cycle. That's only a 3-week cycle. We used to meet every Monday, and now even the public doesn't know when we meet. I mean, they're all going, well, are you on tonight? Are you meeting tonight? Or no one knows, because we've got a schedule that's all over the map. So looking at the schedule will be part of this process, I'm hoping. Thank you.
Councillor McCurry.
Mayor, thank you. Well, this is the culmination of the second iteration of the Red Tape Committee, which is a lot easier to say than what the committee is actually called, which is something else. But it is, the clerk did write the name of the committee, so we're grateful to the clerk for writing the names of committees, obviously. So the second iteration, we've learned many things. We've learned that many in the development community and building community are not happy with the processes that we have. We've also learned that it's very difficult for our staff to be able to deal with making changes when they're knee-deep in alligators trying to keep their heads above water. So we've decided that the thing to do is to engage a consultant that can learn from staff and learn from the committee and learn from the public and make recommendations that we can all be happy with and make changes and improvements that we all want to see happen. Staff and council and the community, we're all on the same page. It's just so darn hard to get there when you're knee-deep in alligators, as I said. So by this time next year, we should be in a more streamlined position. Everybody's going to be a lot happier, including staff, including council, including the committee. And we'll be ready for the building boom that Brantford so richly deserves in 2020.
Councillor Utley for second time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to put Councillor Van Tobel's at ease here with the what I was proposing with the refund. Those refunds, those refunds only come when they meet certain commitments at certain stages of the development. So if they don't meet that first commitment milestone, then they don't get a refund. You know, they wait until it's done. So I just wanted to, that's the intent there. And secondly, I want to praise staff as well. You already introduced a lot of good, really good processes into the system, and I don't want it to go unrecognized. I think there's still some opportunities there, and we all know that. So it's you know, the intent of this consultant is somebody from outside that isn't familiar with the way we operate,